Hi, my name is Buddy Boyd from Zero Waste Canada, and I'm deeply honored to be down speaking to you at the California Resource Recovery Association conference. I'm here to report on some of the things that are going on with zero waste in Canada, and some of it's not good. We've got a real big biomass and incineration problem going on in Canada, a lot of it being sold under the Zero Waste brand. I'll fill you in, and this is our story of what's going on in Canada. Our National Board of Volunteers is Jamie Kaminsky from Maple Ridge, British Columbia, and the lovely Dirk Becker from Arrington, BC, a wonderful organic farmer. There's Barb and myself, and of course, that's Barb Hetherington. And lastly but not leastly, Dr. Paul Connett, and they sit on our board, and that's Zero Waste Canada. Though Zero Waste Canada is a not-for-profit group of volunteers that was created several years ago, after Zero Waste Canada was created, Metro Vancouver Regional Government in British Columbia created something called the National Zero Waste Council in concert with other groups and organizations and people from around the province, and is the second national zero waste organization in Canada. Now, one of the founding members of the National Zero Waste Council is Mayor Malcolm Brodie from Richmond, British Columbia, who's also the chair of the Metro Vancouver Zero Waste Committee. And the head of Metro Vancouver's Zero Waste Committee goes on to say, waste to energy is the best solution for Metro Vancouver taxpayers and the environment. Furthermore, he goes on to say, progressive communities worldwide have determined that converting waste to energy is the most environmentally responsible and cost-effective means of dealing with residual waste that cannot be avoided or diverted from disposal. So there you have it. In Canada, on a national level, we basically have two versions of zero waste on parallel tracks. There's ours that follows the Zero Waste International Alliance's principles and hierarchy, and then there's Metro Vancouver's version under the National Zero Waste Council, which includes incineration. And as we all know, there's no incineration in authentic zero waste. Now, in the early 2000s, many other regional districts in British Columbia, like Nanaimo on Vancouver Island, adopted jumping on the zero waste bandwagon. But in 2015, we still see them talking with incinerator folks, wondering about how to get biomass and gasification, pyrolysis, any form of burning to generate energy. That's not zero waste. Now, Canada is built on our natural resources pretty much, and one of them is logging and pulp and paper. A disturbing trend we're starting to find out is biomass and incineration at pulp mills. We have just discovered on the Sunshine Coast, British Columbia, where we live, Howe Sound Pulp and Paper has cut 180 jobs as they're getting rid of their paper excellence division and replacing it with what they're calling a green energy opportunity. Now, as anybody who is able to connect the dots realizes, that green energy at a pulp mill to produce power generally means biomass, and the next step is garbage incineration. Now, in the Northern Territory of Nunavut, the city of Iqaluit is going to experiment with Canfor's gasification project. If anybody knows anything about the North, this is quite troubling. In Ontario, local zero waste organizations like Zero Waste Ontario and community groups lost their battle to the Durham York Energy Centre, their new garbage incinerator that's going to be built in a country that claims on a national level to want zero waste. Durham York is north of Toronto. This is not how zero waste works. Something's wrong. In Edmonton, Alberta, north of Calgary, they're quite proud of their garbage incinerator there and bragging about how they use some heat to turn their garbage into a gas. And as you can see, It's so successful. In 2003, there were 359 kilograms per person of waste, and 10 years later, it's down to 357 kilograms. So you could see that incinerators don't really bring the totals down, do they now? The disturbing trend is pretty obvious that there's a big push in Canada for biomass, for burning, gasification, plasmification. Another player in the mix is extended producer responsibility, which in theory is a really good idea. The problem is that there's already incineration in a lot of the programs in Canada already. Now we have to start looking at how these materials are handled. Are we pushing to get better products designed in our EPR programs in British Columbia and Canada? A lot of the folks that are involved in EPR, or some of the folks, were also involved in the Metro Vancouver National Zero Waste Council. And as you can see, Metro Vancouver are already lobbying other levels of government and other EPR steward organizations to get the residuals for incineration. We've seen the bad and the ugly. Now let's take a look at some of the good stuff that's happening from the grassroots organizations and bottom-uppers like ourselves. We feel that before we have mandated composting, we should be looking at reuse and education in our communities, how we can use food that people are normally just throwing away in their wheelie carts. One of the things that we've been advocating for is home composting. The best home composter we found on the markets out of Sweden, called the Jora home composter. And out of Washington State, right here in the USA, is something called Green Mountain Technology, and that's Barb in front of the secondhand machine that we bought for Gibson's. So we're doing on-site composting right in our community. We're not hauling it anywhere. The machine is scalable. You can scale it up, and it could be as long as you want. So there are other options out there for local solutions to deal with our food scraps and at the local level. And this is a citizen engagement movement. As we've also seen at Green Mountain Technology, they have something many of you might have heard of called the Earth Tub. And now they've just introduced something called the Earth Cube in an IBC container that has an auger that's powered by solar energy and a battery. There are solutions other than mandated curbside collection. Here we see young Aaron Riley in Toronto, Ontario, having a nice healthy meal provided by Second Harvest Food Rescue. Now, Second Harvest, since their inception 30 years ago, they created a vision called No Waste, No Hunger. They've rescued and delivered over 100 million pounds of good food since inception. They've prevented 50 million pounds of greenhouse gases from entering the atmosphere since 1985. They work with SH Delivery. They have 7 trucks and 1 van, and they serve 200 social service agencies. They deliver enough food to provide 20,000 meals each day, and almost 40% of the recipients are children and youth. $1 gets you 2 meals. And they have 600 food donors and participate in their rescue program. So here's a perfect example of going beyond lift, lid, and throw, make stuff go away. And reusing food is a really big and great opportunity to dovetail in with the whole concept of better design and how zero waste is actually supposed to work at the community level. Another citizen engagement effort is out of Halifax, Nova Scotia on the east coast of Canada with Egg Studio, a locally based video production company taking on the K-Cup.
Recording? Recording, you sure?
Yeah, I got it.
Happy birthday to you.
Guys, what is it? Let's go. Let's go. Jesus. What the? What is that thing?
I think it's one of those coffee things.
What is that? Holy shit. Oh my. Ah! Ah! It's shooting! Run! Run! Oh my God! What is that thing? Come on, get out of here! Run! Oh, shit! Jerry! Jesus!
We have to go!
No, don't go! No! No! Don't go! No! Cheryl! Thank you, sir! Which way? Which way? No! Please, no more!
That's quite the powerful message about the K-Cup. Now there's some other messaging coming out of Canada as well. A few years ago, friends of ours did a film called The Clean Bin Project. Many of you might have seen that film. That's Jen Rustmeyer and Grant Baldwin with us down at Molly's Reach in Gibsons, British Columbia, having breakfast as they came up and volunteered their time to shoot the Gibsons recycling video, which some of you might have seen on our website. The interesting point about this is just a group of ordinary people and a documentary film crew sat down and started dialoguing and talking about how to change the narrative, how to change the messaging. Anybody that's seen the Clean Bin Project is probably quite aware that we're the solution. It's up to each and every one of us. Now Jen and Grant have their new film out called Just Eat It, which was featured on the John Oliver show on HBO last week. And here is the underlying message that's coming out of Canada. We have some bad things happening at the government level and the policy level, but we have some great things happening with respect to messaging and communication and sharing of ideas from the grassroots bottom up. Now we're drilling down on what's actually happening in Canada. We have a lot of people up here getting paid a lot of money to poach the zero waste brand, and we're not standing for it. And as we've seen, there's a lot of ordinary people doing extraordinary things in Canada. And our contribution came from meeting Dan and Mary Lou at Urban Ore, which basically has changed our lives, which then led to us meeting Richard Anthony and all the wonderful people at Zero Waste International Alliance, which then led to Barb and I building our own resource recovery, dealing with glass, styrofoam, all the hard to deal with materials that are in our community and now are out of our landfill. But by far our biggest achievement in a residential neighborhood is building on-site, in-vessel composting. Ordinary people like Andrew Stromatich inventing the silly bag, which we've just taken possession of, which I'm trying to drink my beer out of at our local pub. It's ordinary people. That's how zero waste works. In Canada, we have a lot of work to do, but it's not all bleak. There's a lot of ordinary people doing extraordinary things here, like Andrew inventing better packaging, like Jen and Grant spreading the message about waste and how we can do better, like egg production showcasing the K-Cups. There's a lot of things that we could do here proactively to demonstrate how we can get to authentic zero waste from the ground up together. Thanks very much for your time.